Happy Wednesday, everybody, and welcome into the Gramlich and McLean podcast presented by Ingles. We are here ready to talk some Pitt thanks to a red-eye flight. Eric McLean is seriously just all over the place. Somehow he's doing XFL, he's Father of the Year, and he just put Amelia down for a nap, and he's doing the pod. Mac, tell the people where you were just like, I don't even know, 5 hours ago or whatever.
There's my proof for the nap part of it. Yeah, KG, it was a little bit wild. Call a game in Seattle.
With Roy Philpott, who we love.
With Roy Philpott, which was awesome, by the way. So fun. And shout out to my girls, Tiffany and Don, holding it down in the rainy sideline. I was super happy I wasn't in that rain on the sideline. So better y'all than me. But yeah, so I'm out there, and, going there is awesome because you
Where are you?
Or lose. Seattle, Washington, across the farthest place I could go to call a game. You get back those 3 hours. So I took off at like 9 and I landed at noon over there. I'm like, this is sick. You got all day. But, big but, the huge kicker, when you come back,
oof,
it kicks you in the face because you gain those 3 hours and you're just like, or lose them, however you want to look at it. And you're just like, oh my gosh. So originally I was going to leave there at, I think it was like 7:30 Seattle time, which isn't bad, but I wouldn't have gotten home until like 6, which is the whole day. Like literally the whole day gone. Yes, the whole day. And so we're sitting there, we're at dinner, and everybody's talking about when you flying out, and everyone keeps saying, oh, I'm on the red eye. Oh, I'm on the red eye. Oh, I'm on the red eye. I'm like, oh, what a rookie mistake. I didn't get the red eye. And so I immediately call the great people over at Disney Travel. They hook it up, make it happen so I can get home to see that beautiful baby girl, my beautiful wife, Khaki. So that was nice. So I landed at 5:30 instead of 5:30 p.m. and a.m. And got home to wake Amelia up. So it was great. I mean, it's perfect stuff, and was able to interview our great guest here in the office instead of in some grungy corner in the Seattle airport. So it worked out nicely, KG.
Yeah, Mac literally got off a plane, woke up his baby, and played with the baby, and then did an interview. So, what a legend. What a legend. And Mac, speaking of a legend, we do have Izzy Abanikanda on today. The Pitt running back, y'all, who ran for over 1,400 yards last year and 20 touchdowns, which was the NCAA rushing record last year for touchdowns in a season. So, he's great, and we're going to talk to him about that. We're also going to talk about Pitt in general after we talk about Izzy. And that brings me, I just got this idea because we talked to Izzy about Pitt being slept on, right? People sleep on Pitt too much, and we try to say don't do it. So with our great partners over at Ingles, and when you heard about our egg salad pimento cheese situation, it was a good situation, but it's
who won that? Can you give a recap for us? Who won?
I think for the most part, it was probably like 60-40 pimento cheese.
I agree. I think that's what I saw too.
Which is probably pretty indicative of the world. But people sleep on Pitt, Mac. And I want to say, I don't think people sleep on Ingles, but I think there may be certain aspects of Ingles that they sleep on that they're just not, they don't really know about.
Yeah.
And for me, when I was there the other day getting my pimento cheese and egg salad, their produce section is fire. It's huge, first of all. It's bigger than like any other grocery store that I would happen to walk into. They've got organics. They've got stuff from local farmers. It just feels like the selection is exceptional. It's also right next to the salad bar, which, I frequent. So I feel like people are sleeping on the Ingles produce section. What about you, Mac?
I feel that. And you know what? I have to admit, there is nothing better than when you walk into Ingles, your favorite grocery store, as we all have here, and you see that beautiful selection of color, freshness.
Right there.
It's right there in your face, and it's just like, daggum, this just looks good.
It makes you want to buy more vegetables.
That's right. It does. And so shout out to Ingles for product placement right in the front. Everybody has to walk by it. Eat your fruits and vegetables, people. So without further ado, let's get to a quick message from our great partner, and then, of course, Israel Abanikanda.
At Ingles, we know your closest companions are the ones who are always there for you. The ones you trust to have your back, no matter what. Who make the hard times a little softer. And the good ones, somehow, a little better. That's what family is all about. Whether they walk on 2 legs or 4. Ingles, all the ingredients for family.
Izzy Abanikanda, man, one of my favorite guys that we've covered in the ACC. Just to see you, man, just dominate each and every year and your game get better and better. Now it's time to talk about the next steps, man. Thanks for joining us today.
No problem.
We're excited to have you. Let's focus on Pitt just a little bit here because, man, you did some really cool things, especially these last 2 years. I guess what was the biggest difference in your mind and in the things you were able to do this past season? Going for all kinds of yards, being the nation's leading touchdown scorer, all these different things, a unanimous All-American, one of the many Pitt men to be able to do that. So just walk me through this season and how you were able to have such great success.
Really just started off the preseason work effort. I put in a lot of work during the off season, so it definitely showed that I paid off. I definitely stayed more time in the film room, more time in the weight room, just that extra work, that individual work that no one could see. It definitely paid off.
I think that is safe to say, Izzy, for sure, that it paid off. And Mac and I have talked about this many times, and we love to cover Pitt. We think the Pitt fans are great. They get very involved and they care so much. It felt like coming off a season where Kenny Pickett had moved on to the league that people were sleeping on Pitt a little bit. And then you end up having the season that you guys did. Did y'all feel that at all? Was there any motivation there to prove to people that Pitt is perhaps more than just Kenny Pickett?
Yeah, definitely. We definitely want to show that it's a team. It's a team. We win as a team. There's no individuals on the team. And we really wanted to show who was the best in the ACC. And our goal from the beginning of the season to the ending was just to win the ACC again.
And there you got close, man. I mean, to see what, Pitt's been able to do these last, really 4 years and Coach Narduzzi and the program and, just the sustainability that you guys have. It's been that model, really of consistency in the ACC. It's really Clemson and y'all when you talk about wins and throw Wake Forest in there as well. So it's been fun to watch that. But before we talk about some combine stuff and some pro day things, I do want to get your thoughts on that Virginia Tech game because, dude, that was one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my life where literally y'all ran maybe 3-4 different plays and every time you touched the ball, it was a touchdown. Like, did it feel like a video game to you? What did that feel like as you're doing that to those guys?
It definitely felt like a video game, It felt good. I was just really getting energized with my teammates. My teammates were telling me, you got to go for that record. It was after my third touchdown. Like, you got to go break a record today, from just them hearing that, just from me hearing that from them, it just turned the switch in my mind. I just wanted to turn up.
And turn up. I just, for people that might not have remembered, 320 yards, 6 touchdowns. You averaged 9 yards a carry. I mean, what was the discussion on the sideline? Were you just like, hey, coach, look, don't mess this up. Run left, run right. Just give me the ball.
It really was just a connection. My offensive coordinator was up in the booth, so I best believe he just knew it was that time for me to turn up that game, and he just kept calling plays for the ball to be in my hand.
What was it like? I'm so fascinated by this game because it was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Were you just in such a zone that you just knew what they were going to do? Your offensive line moving guys out of the way, like what? When you get the ball and you're like, oh my God, there's 50 yards in front of me. Like, what were you seeing? What kind of stuff was going on?
It was definitely my confidence level. My confidence level was out the roof after the first 2 touchdowns. Like, I knew it was early in the game, so I definitely was like, oh yeah, it's gonna be a long day for them, So I just had a lot of confidence, and the game started slowing down, and it just started speeding up for me.
It was indeed a long day. For Virginia Tech, that's for sure. Okay, you also turned up at your pro day, but we're going to get to that. I'm curious about this, Izzy. You are from Brooklyn, and I know your dad played football at Georgia Tech, so you definitely grew up in a football family. But tell me, and Mac and I are both from the South, okay, so we need to understand this. Tell me more about growing up in Brooklyn in terms of just the football vibe there. I know, of course, the Giants and Jets are huge, and football is still everything everywhere in the United States, but how did you practice? Like, what was different about growing up in Brooklyn from a football perspective?
Growing up in Brooklyn, football perspective, it's not so much football over here. It's more basketball,
right?
Track, anything else but football. really just got to find the open fields. Not even that much football fields out here. So if you want to work out,
Right.
it's really just like plain fields out here. Not even with the lines on it. Not even with the numbers on there. It's probably one or two out here
Wow.
like that. So it's really like big green grass. And, you just find anywhere you want to work out. But there's a lot of players out here, diamonds in the rough that people still haven't noticed, in the nation. A lot of people seeing, looking at the South, the West. But I'm not even gonna lie, New York definitely got good players, great players that just haven't been seen yet.
How do you hope to
Yeah.
to shine a light on that, man? Because obviously you've had great success in college. Now with the NFL draft and being selected there, how I guess can you pay it forward to say, hey, there are ballers in Brooklyn. Y'all need to look around and find these guys.
Hopefully, what I've been doing is basically showing them, showing them that as ballers in New York City, and also that I just want to keep proving myself on the next level, so they continue to look this way.
How did football become the sport? Because as you mentioned, KG's a hooper. She played ball in college, and being in the mecca there in New York. How did football become the sport for you? Was it just your pops?
Definitely my pops and my brother. My brother first started playing football, so I started just leading, following his way because he was leading the way. And then we just wanted to be somebody different. Everybody's playing basketball, so we was like, all right, so we trying to be the top of the football list.
Yeah, well, you definitely did that, Izzy. This is a weird question to ask someone about themselves, but when I'm reading different scouting reports on you for the draft, one of the positives people love about you is that you are young. You don't turn 21 until October. So you're about to be drafted and you can't even drink, which is kind of crazy. You should celebrate accordingly, but we'll see. So first of all, so I guess you just kind of started school early as a young kid, but have any teams talked to you about that? How you're only 20 years old.
Yeah, definitely. They really say how my age is really ideal, really unique. Nobody else is really that young. So it's like they say it's like a LeBron set off.
Okay, I
Oh,
like that.
okay.
I like that, man. Well, let's dive into.
And you're like, wait, hold on. I mean, I'm not 12. I am, an adult.
That's right. I love it. Well, let's dive into that a little bit more, man, because you mentioned those teams talking to you. You go to the NFL Combine. Don't do any drills, but obviously you're participating. That thing, we've talked to a lot of different guys that are upcoming in this draft class, and hearing their stories about the draft. And again, I'll say this one more time for our listeners, but it's a week-long process. Like, it's not just show up, run a 40, go home. I mean, there's a lot to this thing with medical evaluations, meetings, all these different things. So just walk us through, I guess, your combine experience and different things that went on there.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of medicals, a lot of meetings, especially informal meetings, formal meetings I had with teams. There's probably about 30 meetings I had for like
Wow.
including the informals, mostly informals. Um, 15 minutes each, just going back and forth, back and forth. Another scout come to the room, get you right after. You barely have time to even pick up your phone and type who just talked to you, text the agent who just talked to you. Yeah, so it was really like fast and a lot of things going on. And then also the medicals is probably about 8 hours long. Yeah,
Wow.
it's real long. Just waiting, just wait. Yeah.
Sure. Hurry up and wait. So I mean, what, you don't have to tell us who or what specific team, but what are those, I mean, meetings like? Are they, we've heard so many stories about weird questions or asking you to rap or hit a putt or any of these weird things. So were there any funny things that maybe an NFL team, and again, don't tell us who it is, but any funny things that maybe you were asked to do?
I actually wasn't the ones who was asked one of them questions. I heard a lot of questions too from other people, but yeah, I'm glad I wasn't
Oh,
asked
they
a
left
weird
you
question.
out. They left. Okay, so what are they talking about? Those 30 meetings. I mean, are they just getting to know you, or what's the point of those? I guess for those 15 minutes.
Oh yeah, they definitely get to know me, and then we just go straight into film, just straight into
Mm,
ball. They teach me what they usually use at their team, and then I gotta react it. I gotta show it on my own film. There's a whole lot of football aspects to it.
yeah. Did any team pull up your Virginia Tech film?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll say probably mostly every team actually.
Did they
Oh,
really?
okay. That's gotta make you happy.
That was
Bring
a
a smile to
frequent
your
flyer.
face.
That was a
Yeah.
frequent flyer. I love that, man. Hey, what Izzy? What went into the decision to not do any of the drills in Indianapolis? Why did you make that decision?
February 10th, I had like a minor hamstring injury, just preparing for the draft. I mean, preparing for the combine, and just I missed a lot of training for it. So
Yeah,
right before the combine, I wasn't really comfortable enough to like just go jump out in there and just try something. So I wanted to be fully prepared, and that's why I waited to pro day.
Sure. And yeah, let's talk about your pro day because your pro day, you killed it. I'm just going to read a few of these things. A 4.2640 at your pro day at Pittsburgh. All 32 teams were in attendance, by the way.
Mhm.
41-inch vertical jump. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So when you know you didn't run at the combine, you had the hamstring injury. So you know the pro day is it, right? Like this is where you've got to show up. So what was your mindset heading into pro day? And did you think was 4.2 your goal?
Definitely 4-3 was my goal, but
Okay.
God
so
just
we're shattering goals, baby. Come on.
God God just blessed me, on that day, But I was really chill that day, motivated, I wasn't thinking too much because, I usually do numbers like that when I was at Pitt. Even when I was at high school, I usually do numbers like that. I
Wow,
couldn't wait to show it on like a national base. So that was
sure.
that day, and I was just like, okay, let me show out.
Man,
Yeah,
and
you did.
you went nuts. I mean, you went nuts. I do want to back up just a second here to talk about the actual training piece. How, I guess, weird, different, was that time that you get done playing your last game at Pitt, and then you go straight into training. You're not doing any football, probably. You're training for these 3-4 very specific events that you'll never do ever again. Was that weird? Did you like it? Are you a track guy at heart? How was that training?
Definitely, I definitely liked it, because similar to track and what I've been doing for track, for 40, Then again, it could get really repetitive, every day you just wake up and do that same thing, literally like every day. So it would just really stuck in your mind. It would be on your head, and the day to like pro day or combine would be so slow. The process would be so slow. You just keep doing that repetitive thing, but you knew it was going to count. You know it was going to pay off.
Yeah, it seems like it becomes so mental, whereas with football, you don't have too much time to think. Play's called, you got the ball, you're going. But now you've got to sit there and think about it all day, which can't be
Just
fun.
wait, sit around and
Sounds
wait.
awful. So Izzy, I want to ask you about this because we had Kalijah Cansey on, who was just awesome, and we've been a huge fan of his. And we've seen, I mentioned Kenny Pickett at the beginning of the interview. We've seen these Pitt guys start to really just thrive in the NFL. Of course, Aaron Donald, everyone knows Aaron Donald. So did you feel like when you're talking with these teams and you're doing all these processes and going on these visits, do you feel like being from Pitt has helped you in any way?
Oh yeah, definitely. Just with Kenny Pickett being my quarterback, Coach Narduzzi being my coach, it's a lot of connections. Even Coach Andre Powell, my running back coach. A lot of coaches know who my coaches were. Coach Signetti, they coached with Coach Signetti in the league. Who else? Coach Tim Salem, they coached with Tim Salem back then in the days. So a lot of coaches know my coaches. So I feel like it's a lot of connections going on. So I feel like just me playing for Pitt just treat me real well.
No, I don't think there's any doubt about that. Sticking with the Pitt theme, here for a second, and Kalijah Cansey specifically, man, going against that defense each and every day with those dogs on the other side. I mean, it had to make Saturdays easy. I mean, what was practice like? You going against Servassier, Dennis, Brandon Hill, and all those terrors before all those guys too that you had to go against a couple of years ago.
It was real fun and competitive.
I don't know if anyone else would
Yeah,
use the word
fun.
fun in this circumstance.
It was fun because we used to talk a lot of smack, and it would be real competitive. We were like, all right, we see. I said, I'm gonna get this first touchdown right here. Cool, we'll see about that. Savasi, so we see about that. It was just a lot of competition, and that's what made practice fun. And even playing with them guys, it led us to being ready on Saturdays.
Yeah, I mean, it just had to make things easier going against such a great run defense, each and every day. How, I guess, KG kind of asked you the question one way. I'm going to look at it from a different lens. How will being in that environment, playing against those guys, being a Pitt man, how do you feel like that prepared you, for the NFL?
Definitely prepared me to be a man on and off the field. Just even playing under the coaches. Coaches taught us a lot of lessons, like on the field and out the field. A lot of things, what to do or what not to do. So I feel like just being a Pitt man or a Pitt player, it just taught me a lot about life.
Yeah, for sure. And, Izzy, I want to ask you this too, because as you're getting ready to get drafted and see where you end up, I'm very excited for you and to see where you go. But for a team, and I'm sure you've been asked this question too, I know they're getting a young prospect. I know they love that. But for a team that picks you, what are they getting? What are they going to get with Izzy? What are you going to bring every day?
Definitely getting a dedicated, humble, disciplined, hardworking athlete on and off the field, and just dedicated to his work, and would do anything to get it done until it's done.
I like it.
I know they know that,
Izzy
man. I know they know that with all your research.
Sure.
That's right. Last one for you, man, and we'll let you get out of here. What is, I guess, plans from now moving forward? We've got about 2.5 weeks left. And then what's the plan for the draft? Are you staying at home, going to the draft? You have a big family gathering. What's that look like?
Right now, I'm working out right now. Stay at home with family right now in Brooklyn, New York. Just relaxing my mind, relaxing my soul, everything. Just because after them past 3 months, it was real struggle dealing with the hamstring injury as well. Combine, pro day, so it's been really stressful. So me just right now relaxing my mind, working out, and just talking to coaches on the Zoom calls. It's just it's a great experience as well, and I'm just blessed. And on the draft day, I'll be with my family.
Very nice. So how many people are we talking about? 20, 30, or just small family?
Well, I don't know, because a lot of people want to come, so it might be around 20 to 30.
That's right. We're gonna have to rent out some space,
and
man. We got to bring
all
balls. We got to bring everybody.
Cider, right?
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. My man. Well, Izzy, this was so much fun, brother. We appreciate you joining us and jacked up for your future. We're excited for you, man.
All right, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks again to Izzy, to the Hizzy, for joining us. That is such a good nickname.
He just scored another touchdown.
He just scored another one
on the board on
Can
Virginia
you
Tech.
imagine that joy, Mac, you get where you're talking to all these coaches and GMs and whatever, and they pull up that Virginia Tech film. They pull up the film where you were literally a superhero, and you're like, yeah, I did that.
Yeah, it was easy. I mean, Coach, I could do this every game. You just got to give me the ball.
If I just had enough carries.
That's right.
Well, they are going to have to replace Izzy up there in Pittsburgh. So let's start with the offense. And let's just remember, this team went 9-4 last year, won the Sun Bowl, finished in the top 25. Again, people sleep on Pitt. I don't know if someone outside of the ACC would say that Pitt finished in the top 25 and remember that, but they did.
Right.
They had a very solid year. And they're moving on from Keaton Slovis, as we know, and they've brought in Phil Jurkovec, the quarterback from Boston College, who has transferred to Pittsburgh. And from what I was reading, Mac, and reading up on their spring ball, their spring game is this weekend, Saturday, which a lot of spring games are. The talk about Phil has been very positive. First of all, they're not even doing the crap that says, we're in a quarterback competition. Narduzzi said, no, he's our guy. They've got the two other guys in a quarterback competition for the QB2 spot. But just overall, Mac, I know it's early, but I think we both have really high expectations for Jurkovec. I think a lot of people do.
Yeah, and really the biggest aspect of it, KG, is just him staying healthy, being available for a full year, seeing if he can put all that together, because all the measurables with being a big guy and athletic enough to really do some damage, cannon of an arm, accuracy when he needs it, all these different things. We've seen that. Now we have to see the durability. I'd also like to see, more of a vocal leadership kind of standpoint from him. He's an older guy. This is his last year. Go out there and don't only lead by example, but let's talk it and let's get guys going in the right direction. And, at that position, that's what you need to see to go to the next level and to be super successful and be a guy that can command a locker room. So for me, that's what I want to see. All good things, like you said, coming out of the camp. I think that the biggest thing is just quickly, how fast can you get that kind of cohesion with Phil and,
Right.
and the receivers and all these different guys, which that's probably more on him and getting those guys out there and getting things going necessary. So I'm excited to see it, KG.
Well, I'm glad you bring that up, Mac, because Pat Narduzzi literally said in one of his quotes after one of their scrimmages that Phil is really stepping up as a leader. He said, I hear Phil a lot. He's not afraid to lead.
There
There's
we
a lot
go.
of people leading by example. So I think that's a very good sign. And, you're going to look at guys like Mumfield, Bub Means, Bartholomew. I think those
Yep.
are going to be the main targets. And they do return Rodney Hammond Jr. to replace, and replace is a tough word with Izzy Abanikanda and his numbers. But we saw spurts. He had 460 rushing yards in 8 games last year, had some injuries, but we saw spurts from him last year. So I think you feel pretty good about the pieces around Phil.
Yep.
And Mac, talk to me about this O-line, because look, and this is not, I'm not trying to take a shot, but this O-line will be better than Boston College's last year. It will be better. Phil will be upright more. I have to imagine.
That's not even a shot. It's just a fact. I mean,
It's just a fact.
There's not many schools that you could say that it's on the opposite side of that argument, unfortunately, from last year for BC. But I do want to touch on Rodney Hammond Jr. real quick, because I think if folks remember, he was the feature back in that first couple of games, or maybe first game, and then
The West Virginia game.
Yeah, and looked really good. And then, unfortunately had the high ankle sprain, and that's a tough injury because it just puts you out so far. He's going to be fine. Pittsburgh's going to be fine at the running back position. Now, can he do the things that Izzy did? I don't know, maybe. But certainly I think that they're going to be okay from that aspect. Have a couple of other really big, just solid backs in that backfield. I truly think that BC wants to be very balanced, and even maybe 60-40 run. Like they want to be ground and pound, physical, and that plays into that offensive line up front. A year ago, I had them coming in as the number 1 offensive line in the ACC, and like 3 out of 5 guys got hurt like by week 2. And it was just a totally different offensive line. I think by the end of the year, it might have been all 5 new starters, which, good thing, because that helps this year. Those guys got way more playing time than they were expected to, really turned it on late. And when you have a guy like Izzy that you're blocking for, it just makes everything easier. So the biggest thing for me when I think of Pittsburgh from a year ago, it was like, if nothing is working, just hand the ball off.
Yeah.
I need to see more things happen. Need to see Bub Means be more reliable. Need to see Mumfield be more reliable. Come down with the hard catches. Protect the football. We know we saw a couple of crazy fumbles after the catch last year. And I think there's a lot of potential. I think Narduzzi and staff have earned enough to where we think that they're going to be better than medium. I think they're going to be towards the top of the ACC. But that offense will be the piece. If Jurkovec and these guys can come together, man, look out. It could be really fun with Signetti and the things that they're going to be able to do.
I think they're still going to want to run the ball, like you said, Mac. It's not going to be a couple years ago where you just put the ball in Kenny Pickett's hands and said, go pass for 350. But last year, they only averaged 222 passing yards per game. That was 10th in the ACC. I think you'd like to see more of a balance and that number up a little closer to 300, but still being able to run the football. And when we look at the defense, Mac, I love this quote. Okay, you're replacing dudes, right? There are so many guys that, we've talked to 2 of them that are heading off to the NFL draft. Abanikanda, Kalijah Cansey, Baldonado, Brandon Hill, Servassier Dennis, Deslin Alexander, like all these dudes and a lot of guys on defense. And so I saw this from, I think his name, Naki Johnson. I believe that's right. Sophomore defensive end. I love this quote, Mac. I'm going to read it to you here. Okay. We like to call us the new era.
Oh,
I'm not going to lie. The older guys didn't like that because they wanted to stick to the traditional base. But we're going to go by that this year. QBK, new era. And of course, any Pitt listener knows QBK stands for quarterback killer.
that's right.
It's a new era of D linemen. There's a lot of guys who haven't gotten to play, and now they're able to get out there. It's going to be really fun. Mac, are you ready for QBK, new era?
I am. I am ready for it. I think I saw another quote where they were talking about we're 3 deep or something. I don't know if it's quite to that
Everybody
extent.
wants to say that these days.
3 deep is really, really
April.
good. Yeah, that's quite quite exceptional. Maybe too deep.
FSU, one of the FSU guys said that. They
Is
were
that
crazy.
okay? It was FSU.
Yeah.
I'm confusing my great defensive lines here. There's going to be a lot in the ACC this year. So I think really just seeing who's going to step up. I think Deion Hayes has a really big opportunity. We saw him, finish with a hat trick against Miami towards the end of the season when some guys weren't available. All the great things that I've heard, of Kamara. I saw Coach raving about him, saying that dude's dangerous. Like he's a weapon, out there at linebacker for us. This is one of his final years of eligibility. So it's kind of a make it or break it. What are you going to do? And all those names that you listed, KG, of having to replace one guy they're not replacing, Coach Charlie Partridge. That guy gets it done. Like he can take whatever you give him and make them into these superstar defensive linemen. And what is very interesting is this wave of, kind of 4-stars that they brought in. This is kind of a new era of guy, of these highly talented, highly recruited dudes that now, man, I can't wait to see what they look like with Coach P and that development and things that they going on there. So I kind of mentioned the Narduzzian staff have earned this right.
Yeah.
Even though they're losing all those guys, I know this defense is going to be exceptional. I know that they're going to get after the quarterback. I know they're going to create turnovers just because simply the system, the expectation, the tradition that is in place for Pitt football. And like I said, 48 sacks a year ago. I think they have close to 140 maybe in the last 3 years, something like that. They're going to get it done. That's in their DNA to get after the quarterback, get them down, and create extra opportunities.
Yeah, they were second nationally in total sacks last year behind Louisville, by the way. Right. So that's something to keep in mind. And they finished in the top 3 in sack totals nationally in the past 4 years, 3 times in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
So we know they can reload. And I like the confidence from Johnson. I like that because, yeah, you've had so many guys come before you, and you've had to play behind them. You had to play behind Cansey and Baldonado, and we know Kamara taking over for Savasier Dennis is big shoes to fill.
Sure.
And Pat Narduzzi's talked about that. But I like saying, yeah, we're still QBK. We're still Pitt D-line. But we're going to be our own thing, and you're going to be excited to watch us. So
that's right.
I like the confidence coming out of Pitt. I think this is just a situation where they reload.
I do too, KG. I really do. And again, I think it's that – 20 wins in 2 years is crazy.
Come on.
The success, the sustainability. Don't sleep on Pitt. I think they're going to sneak up on a lot of people. I think that they're going to be a team that, at media day and things like that, not a lot of rumbling. But those that know
will rumble.
That's right. We will rumble for the Pitt Panthers. But this was fun. This is a great episode. Really appreciate Izzy jumping on with us and his time. He's all over the place, zooming and meeting and going places. Excited that he gets a little time at home, back home in Brooklyn, and just be with his family and really relax there. And then to talk about these Pitt Panthers. I think it's going to be another fun year, and will be interesting to see all the talk about the Noles and the Tigers.
Yep.
Who's going to be
UNC.
that? Right. Who's going to be that next tier that maybe can push that and really just throw a wrench, kind of in all those plans. But that's it from us, guys. Another great episode of Graham Look at Mac Lane. Appreciate Ingles, our great partner, and all that they do for us. If you haven't gone over to YouTube already and subscribed, I really don't know what you're doing. We have so much fun over here. Come join the party. Check us out. Subscribe. Get in the comments. All those fun things. And, of course, the OGs over on Apple Podcasts. Rate, review, subscribe. We would greatly appreciate that. But until next time, we'll see y'all.